This is the Carter Too Simple Thumb Trigger Release by Carter Enterprises. I've got both the 4-finger and the 3-finger. They come with instructions and some Allen heads that you can use to adjust the triggers. Like all Carter releases, these are built really well. They feel solid in the hand and they're really nice to use. You can adjust the tension by turning the screw on the top, which has a locking screw on the side, and you can adjust the trigger travel by adjusting the screw in the back on the actual trigger. These releases have an auto-closing mechanism, so when you push the cocking lever, it automatically closes the gate in the front, and then when you push the thumb trigger, like every other thumb trigger, it releases the gate in the front by pulling it up. Now, the one thing I really didn't like about this release is if anything gets in the way of the gate closing, it will not close all the way. It won't even finish clicking when you pull that thing out. So you can see here, even with this flimsy string that's very light, it doesn't actually pinch the string, but there's enough force that it won't close all the way. And you can see here with something a little bit bigger and more rigid, how I can just make that happen on both of these releases. And this actually did happen to me when I was using the release. When I would go to close it, I might have it off my D loop a little bit, and I would have to look down, and I couldn't just move it. I'd have to completely recock the trigger. Now, I have medium to large hands, and depending on the size of the release, I like a 3-finger or a 4-finger. I'd say that on most releases I like a 4-finger because it gives me a little bit more stability on the draw. Now on this release, I actually preferred the 3-finger. You can't really use the 4-finger as a 3-finger because of the thickness of the release, and the way the pinky pushes up against the end of the release on the 3-finger makes the 3-finger actually really stable on the draw. Now, one thing I noticed was after I would shoot for a while with this release, my first finger and my middle finger would start to get sore. I don't know if this is just the way I'm holding it and the way the release is made, maybe the thickness of the release or the fact that this has a really short head, but it was just after long periods, it just did not feel comfortable anymore. With that said, it was a super heavy, solid release, which I like, and I was a little weary about the gate mechanism on these because it's a little different, but it was super crisp and I didn't notice any effect. And there's not much more to say. This is the Carter Too Simple.